Okay. So yeah, I'm going to get going. So again, my name's Phil Gadd, and this little webinar is a story of how I went from a baker to a business coach. So we'll start off with a little bit of how to use the features on this webinar. If you are logged in, you should be able to see my screen, and just at the top there, the little like Rubik's Cube kind of white thing is where you can change from the showcase, which there's a couple of links there that you can click on. One is to my current contest, which has a couple of weeks to run. So you can win an entire year's worth of coaching. So click on there for more information on that. And also at my website, I offer a free business assessment consultation. So you can click there as well. But also, when you click on that little icon at the top there, it gives you the option to choose between the Q&A and the showcase feature. So if you select the Q&A, that is where you will be able to ask me any questions. If anyone's actually in there right now, that would be great. And just put some questions in there that you can actually hear me and see me, and everything's all good. Looks good on my end, but just so we're all good on that. And yeah, just feel free to ask any questions along the way. So yeah, I'm going to kick off. So first of all, I grew up in the UK in a tiny little place called Hurstman Zoo. I didn't grow up in that castle, but Hurstman Zoo is very, very famous for its castle. I think it's one of the only brick castles in the UK. And that's a place where we used to actually go in elementary. They used to put on pantomimes every Christmas. And it's very Harry Potter-like inside, so big staircases and paintings on the wall. So yeah, that was where I grew up. So yeah, Hurstman Zoo was famous for its castle and its observatory. They used to have an observatory down there, and it's actually on the Greenwich Mean Time. So it's an interesting little village, probably smaller than Fernie, the current city I live in now. So I actually, when I left school, I went as soon as I could, actually, and then I went to the local art school and studied there for a couple of years, as I wanted to be an artist. That was a kind of big goal of mine. And then I moved away to the big city, to university, which was Wolverhampton, which is a city in England in the middle of the country, and it's a big urban sprawl. So it's very different from my upbringing in a tiny little village in southern England. So a big change. And after university, I headed back down to near where I grew up, down to a seaside resort called Brighton. And I moved back there after university. And that's where I first kind of, I did some work in the restaurant industry in university, but it's, when I moved back down, I started as a server, or a waiter, as they call in England. And I started at the bottom, and kind of moved my way up different restaurants, and eventually into the manager's position. But it's still young, still wasn't really what I wanted to do. So I got a job, actually, the local TV news station, which didn't pay very much money, but it was kind of I saw it as a foot in the door to the TV world that I wanted to get into. So I started there, and then got a real taste for it. So I decided, I plotted my moved to London, where actually I went up one day with my current boss's blessing to hand out my resume in a bunch of TV companies in and around Soho, and I actually ended up working at one just around the corner from this pub. My sort of TV career took off. Again, I started right at the bottom, worked my way up. Soho is in the heart of the London theatre district, so it was a fantastic place to live and work. And I worked in London from 1996 to 2008 as an online editor, which basically meant that I was a finishing editor, and we mainly worked on high-end commercials and sort of TV, the bits of stuff in between the television kind of broadcasts. So yeah, enjoyed my time there, but it was I think in the middle of that, in about 2003, I'd been working in London for about 10 years, and I just really wanted to follow a passion. And I'd been snowboarding for a long time. I think when we were 18, a friend of mine got a job out in the Alps, so we ended up going out there. And then every year after, we would spend a week or two in the Alps. And it was always a plan of mine to go and spend a winter season, but because of life, university, then straight into work, it never really materialized. So I decided to take some time off, and ended up going to Fernie, which it was great. And it was just a really chance happening. I decided that I wanted to do, I wanted to get something out of my 6 months off. So I ended up doing a snowboard instructor's course, and fell in love with Fernie, and went back to England thinking, right, I want to move to Fernie. How am I going to do it? Fortunately for me, I met my wife-to-be very soon after coming back from that trip. And yeah, things happened very quickly. We started a family, and we wanted to move to Fernie, and we needed to find some inspiration. So the inspiration we found was actually in just down the road from where we were living in the UK at the time, in a place called Lyme Regis. I was meeting a friend there for a business lunch, and he recommended that we go and check out this bakery. And he was like, oh, we've got to go there. It just reminds me of London. It's this really cool little place. It's all open planned. You see all the bakers working, and it's just fantastic. So Claire and myself, on a cold Saturday morning, went down and parked ourselves in this bakery, only to find it was being run by a colleague of mine that I used to work with in London 10 years previously. And so that was a big coincidence, but at the same time, we both kind of had the feeling that this business could actually work in Fernie. So we set about plotting how to the seeds of Loaf Bakery, I guess, with Clive's idea of the Town Mill Bakery. So in July 31st, 2009, we actually emigrated to Canada with 2 very small children, a business idea, and hoping that everything that we'd planned for would work. So we immediately started preparing the space for our new business. We'd done the business plan, we'd run the numbers, and it was a business that I believed was going to work. So we found it was Barkside at the time was renting a space on 6th Avenue that we then took over, completely renovated, and squeezed everything in that we needed for our new business, which was Loaf Bakery. And to this day, I can't actually believe how we managed it all. We started pretty much a retail bakery, which turned into a wholesale bakery in this tiny little space. All the supplies were kept in the basement. So poor Eric, first baker, you know, every night had to haul all the flour and ingredients up and out. And then in the daytime, we run it as a cafe. So, you know, we squeezed a lot into a tiny little space. And yeah, on Saturday, the 19th of December, 2009, Loaf Bakery opened. It was a great achievement. And yeah, we opened the doors, and we were well received by the local population of Fernie. And to a point that the business really took off. So, you know, in a very short space of time, we had a huge success with our little business. So we opened in 2009. In 2010, we created a wholesale division of the company, and we moved into our second location, where we had a production facility where we would literally bake bread for not only our retail store, but other restaurants and eventually supermarkets. And also that year, we won Business of the Year with the local Chamber of Commerce for New Business of the Year. In 2012, well, rewind that a little bit. In 2011, we got the opportunity to explore purchasing the original bakery on 2nd Avenue, which actually was our original goal for our first location. But at the time, we just didn't have the capacity to renovate. So we got the opportunity to purchase the quality bakery, the original quality bakery on 2nd Avenue, which had laid empty for about a decade. So we had a real big challenge on our hands in the renovation, but it happened. And then late August 2012, we opened up a location on 2nd Avenue, which you know, it was fantastic, and it really was a combination of, you know, where the business was heading. And yeah, I was featured in the top 10 business people in the Kootenay. So, you know, business going from strength to strength. And in January 2013, Loaf Bakery was awarded the top 5 small business in BC. And we were invited to go to Vancouver to the award ceremony. Fortunately, we didn't win the top prize, but just to be put in that sort of category of business was a real, yeah, it was a big thing for us. And, you know, and it's a testament to where the business had come, but also how, you know, what we'd built, not only in the business, but the team of employees that work for us. Between 2013 and April 2015, we opened up a second location in Sparwood. We saw a potential need there for the community of Sparwood. Unfortunately, 2014, we were hit with a bit of a slowdown, well, quite a big slowdown in the economy, and the price of coal and oil, you know, were falling dramatically, and then we were double whammy with a pretty harsh winter of 2014, 15. So we decided to consolidate the business. So we closed the wholesale and the Sparwood divisions of the company, and now we are operating out of just a one location in Fernie. So this is the before and after of our renovation on 2nd Avenue in Fernie. As you can see, it's quite a change. we did a big reno. The first phase of the reno was the ground floor, which is the commercial, and then we've actually sequentially renoed the apartment above that, where we actually live ourselves. But, you know, I'm really proud of what we've achieved in the last sort of 7 years at Loaf. not only for a business, but what we've been able to give back to the community of Fernie. That's a big part. My family is a big part of the community here, and just renovating the old bakery and bringing it back to life was a huge achievement for us. We really happy with that, and if that's just one thing that's that I've done for Fernie, that will live with me forever, because it's a huge achievement for us. But also employing well over 100 people in the local community for the last 6 years is a big achievement for us. But I think up there as well with moving to Second Avenue, we've sponsored 4 individuals from the temporary foreign working program right the way through now for them becoming residents, and two individuals especially who've brought their families over. Anthony from the Philippines and Joseph from Sri Lanka, who last year brought his whole family over, so his wife and his 2 children, and they now the kids are now in the Isabella Dicking Elementary School, which is a huge achievement for us, and we're very proud of that. And we've supported numerous and local charities over the years, and again, we just try and help out where we can. And a couple of things has enabled me, running a business has enabled me time, and with that time I've given back to some volunteer work, and one thing I'm really pleased that I got onto is the Junior Achievement Program, which is it's a volunteer run program with people like myself who go into schools and teach kids about business and about entrepreneurship. And I just had the best 4 hours, I think, teaching grade 4 kids all about what a business is, what a business means to the community, what a business means to be profitable, what a business means to actually start up and make money. And we had a fantastic time, and it's a great program, and the kids loved it. And hopefully going back next year with the grade 5s, we're actually going to build a business and launch it, and actually sell our products. So looking forward to that for next year. A big passion of mine also is running. I help out the running club. This is my eldest coming in at the Kickerman event, which is one of the most awesome events that's held every May down at the Surveyor's Lake, where the kids have a great day out. I think it's the longest running sporting event, one of them in the Kootenays. It was the 34th year this year. So fantastic time for the kids there. And ever since I've been there, it's been absolutely beautiful. So just hope that continues. So that's kind of all the stuff that I've done with the Loaf Bakery. And towards the end of last year, I wanted to start looking into something that I was really interested in. I've always been interested in business, starting businesses, running businesses. So I wanted the opportunity to help other people do that. In January 2006 of this year, I was certified as a business coach with the Forzani Group. And why have I done that? Well, I kind of mentioned, I enjoy business. I enjoy helping others succeed in kind of what I've done. And I really do believe that, entrepreneurs have the potential to change the world. Entrepreneurs are just, the lifeblood of many communities. And without them running businesses, we wouldn't have, the great business environment that we have today. So I do really want to help entrepreneurs build profitable businesses, which I believe will allow them to live the life that they want to live. I do this by providing business coaching and consulting, where we develop mainly routines and we implement the business tools that I have in my program. I also would like to talk about my sourdough formula. Now, I've obviously run a bakery for a long time now, and before I had the bakery, I had no real experience of making bread until the time that I spent, I obviously running my business, but I was first introduced, if we roll back to when we discovered the Town Mill Bakery in back in England. The first experience I had with working with Clive, he said, right, threw me right in the deep end. You're working with Eric, our baker, for 2 weeks on the nights. I'm like, oh, great. So, but it was an awesome experience. You know, I'd roll up 10 o'clock in the evening, and the first thing we would do would mix the sourdough. And the sourdough is a very interesting loaf because it only has 4 ingredients, and the way these 4 ingredients can be mixed and turned into one of the most delicious pieces of food there is just kind of got me thinking about how it closely relates to running a business. So what makes a perfect loaf of bread, in my opinion? You have the flour and the water, and you start with that, and that, well, first of all, you need to be able to make the starter, the leaven, depending on your terminology for bread. But essentially, it's the culture where you feed the water to the flour and you just let it ferment. And we started as 7 years ago, just before the bakery started. And that basically is the yeast, the natural yeast that you use in the sourdough to obviously make the bread rise, but also to give its sour flavor. And the longer the yeast lives in your bakery, the more the stronger and the different sour taste it makes. It kind of like, you know, a fine maturing wine in a sense. So you got your flour and water, and you know, with a loaf of sourdough, you don't just throw everything in the mixer and then out pops this amazing loaf of bread. Everything has its place. Everything has its time. The timing is essential. So the mix starts with the flour and the water and then the culture, and then the extra virgin olive oil, and then all the salt's added, and it's mixed in a particular way. But that's not the end of the process. The sourdough is the first bread that we mix in a production, and it's the last bread that goes into the oven. That's because we don't use any proofing systems or any machines once the sourdough dough is out of the mixer. Anthony the baker will take the dough, he'll cut it into the loaves, he'll mold the hand molds, the tin loaves will go in the tins, and then they sit. And they sit for anywhere from 12 to 14 hours. And that natural process also helps really give the bread the wonderful flavors and the wonderful texture and the wonderful airiness that comes with the perfect loaf of sourdough. So what makes a business profitable is kind of a little bit similar, in my opinion. And it starts with knowing your numbers. You know, it starts with knowing your numbers. You have your revenue at the top. You know, you mix in the cost of goods, and then your expenses. And, you know, at the end result is a net profit. And it's very much like the mixture of the bread. You know, all the things need to be mixed in at the right time, at the right consistency to give you the best end result, which is your net profit. And that's what when I'm talking with business owners, we start with the numbers. We start looking at the numbers, and from the numbers we can extract the stories and the plans. But at the end of the day, if we're not hitting the right percentage for the net profit, we know where we can look at. So why every business owner should use a business coach? So what will you get from a coach? There's a number of things, a lot of things actually. You'll get new ideas, tactics, strategies for sales, profit and cash flow. A clear and simple plan for you and your business. An outsider's perspective and someone to hold you accountable. A critique of your work. I mean, these are all great things. Honest feedback and communication. And, this is everything that you'd get from working with someone like myself. What will a coach be? A knowledge base for your answers for tough questions. Someone to brainstorm with. Someone to keep you focused. Someone you can confide in. A teacher and a mentor. And also an equal investor. I mean, these are all things that we do as coaches to help people succeed. But what do you really get? At the end of the day, as with anything, you buy the result. For example, when you're out shopping for a refrigerator, you're essentially buying a food preservation system. So, when people are selling refrigerators, then, kind of that's what they're selling. They're selling the result of what someone's buying. A washing machine, what are you really buying? Essentially you're buying fabric care. You're looking for the cleanliness and protecting your investment of your clothing. So at the end of the day, when we work with people, we help them create more profit. If they're making profit, then, we help them create more profit. And essentially, more profit will give you more money. And that's the result, one of the results at the end of the day that we help business owners achieve. So for example, if the cost of doing business with me would be, say, let's just say $1,000. Your return on investment, if I was to believe that I was successful, would be 4x on your investment, minimum. That's what I like to be able to bring to the table for my customers. So for example, you invest $1,000, you get that back, plus you get the $4,000 return on investment in either way of saving of cost of goods and expenses and or increasing revenue to give you that ROI on your net profit of 4 times what you invest with me. But it's not only money that I think you buy from a business coach. You buy time, and time's huge, because when you're running a business, you especially a lot of small business owners just are ground down all the time. They're working 6-7 days a week, 10-12 hours a day, and to buy back a little bit of time is huge. And if you could take 1 day per week, if you could buy back 1 day a week, that's huge. That's over 7 weeks a year. What could you do with 7 weeks a year? And we can help with that by building systems in your business, by working with our formulas and strategies. We can essentially give you more time and more money from your business. And that will enable you to, be able to live the life you lead and do the things that are important to you. So I do have some Q&A now. So this is a point where you can actually ask me anything. And if you want to jump in on the sidebar, if you've worked out how to use that, there's a little kind of Rubik's Cube icon at the top. And if you select on that, you can actually go into the questions area and type in a question if you have any questions at all that you'd like to answer. Not got anything coming through right now. So yeah, guys, if you have any questions to ask, do hop over to the Q&A feature on the webinar if you can find it. It's just at the top. Oh, okay, yeah. Hey, Darren, how's it going? Sure. So Darren has asked, can I talk about the progress of my numbers over the year? Sure. So in relation to the Loaf, I believe that is. So absolutely. So when I first started Loaf Bakery, I had a business plan, and I'm not sure if that's obvious or not, but it was a place obviously where it's somewhere to start. And it was a little bit scary because I remember looking at the business plan thinking, okay, right, so I've got to make $500,000 this year to basically sort of break even, which was a little bit scary because I'd never run a bakery before, and yeah, knew I had to sell, a lot of loaves of bread. So in regard to numbers there, we had a target, and we were solely focused on the revenue. And starting out, I wish I'd had the advice to basically focus on the bottom line instead of just looking at the growth. We're obviously a new business, but we achieved it. Well, we came close in the first year. We hit around 480. So the first year was solely focused on revenue and generating revenue. So cost of goods and expenses were, we had a plan for them. We kept stuff low as possible, but we didn't really have a plan for controlling them. So as we progressed through the business, we put those plans in place to a point now where we're super, every week we run the numbers on percentages of our areas. So for example, my revenue is obviously 100%. Then we know in our business our target for the cost of goods is 30%. So everything, all the budgets are designed weekly around that 30% number. Then our expenses, which includes the wages for the staff, the employees, and the wages for myself and Claire, that target is 60%. So we work to a net profit target of 10%. And actually, we sort of shuffle them around a bit. So instead of having the net profit at the bottom, we actually we kind of shove the net profit under the. If you're looking at a kind of really basic income statement, we have revenue, net profit, cost of goods, expenses, and we actually try to take out the number for the net profit as soon as we've hit the sales, instead of at the end, when sometimes you don't have too much left over. So yeah, hopefully that answered your question there, Darren, about the progress of the numbers over the years. So yeah, if anyone else has any questions, please just fire them into that Q&A section feature of the webinar. It's just at the top on the little icon that looks a little bit like a monochrome Rubik's cube. I will. Yeah. So if anyone does have any questions, and they haven't discovered where that feature is, it's just at the top, on the top there, little sort of black and white little Rubik's cube. If you press that, you can select the Q&A feature. So I'm gonna just quickly go to my last slide. So I do have the opportunity for businesses to sit down with me and have a free business assessment consultation. What that looks like is I will send you out a questionnaire, which takes about 45 minutes to an hour long to fill out. It's fairly extensive and goes through a lot of stuff about your business. You send that back to me, we book a time, and we take a couple of hours, and we really focus on your business, where it is today, where you want it to go. We look at the numbers. It's all 100% confidential, and yeah, we try and answer. I try and find some solutions for a couple of your biggest business challenges, and yeah, we just look at your business, and a takeaway from that, absolutely free. You can walk away from that with nothing lost or gained, and yeah, you can sign up quite easily for one of those on my website. There is a link actually on the feature, which is the showcase feature. So if you go again up to the top of the webinar screen, you can either select yeah, you can either select to look at that, and there's links there. Okay, so Paul, hey Paul, how you doing? All the way from the UK. Awesome. So Paul's sent a question in. Would you do differently if you had your time again? Yes, absolutely. I definitely would. I would use a business coach. No, I would go into business with more focus on how I going to achieve my net profit from the start. That would be my biggest thing that I would do differently. Or if I'm going into any other new business venture, I would always look on how healthy the business could be as soon as possible. For me, like the growth was great. We grew really quickly with the Loaf, and we were focused on that, and we kind of neglected other areas. And I think, it's in hindsight, it hurts a little bit. The biggest decision was to consolidate the business about a year ago, and that was probably due largely to the fact that we'd concentrated so much on growing the business at a fantastic rate. But when we got to where we were, about 18 months ago, we had neglected the other areas. So essentially we were creating a lot of revenue, but all that revenue was going out of the business as quickly as it was coming in. So essentially we weren't creating any profit at all. So we made a decision to completely reevaluate and, stick to that 10% net profit target, which has been very successful for us. We live in our business operates in a very seasonal environment. So our 10% is usually an average over the year, but that now is our goal instead of it's a combination of increasing revenue and controlling costs, and that's what we do very well at the Loaf now. And that's kind of my advice for any business, really. Okay, guys, I'm going to take a few more questions if anyone has them, and I'm probably going to wrap up in about 5 minutes. So if anyone has any more questions, ask me anything. Did I do a good job? Did you find the webinar interesting? If you didn't, I'd also like to know, good and bad. I don't mind. I'm going to try and plan to do these once a week and touching on different topics. Haven't decided which next week's going to be yet, but I think it might have some. I might do one on customer loyalty, customer retention through creating a raving fan process. But if anyone has any requests on what they would like me to talk about, please put that into the Q&A. Any feedback's good feedback. Okay. How has having a business coach affected your family life? From Darren. Good question. Good, I think. I'm working, I'm concentrating on a new business where, Claire, my wife's now running the Loaf. I think it's a fairly decent balance at the moment. But yeah, no, it's been positive. Absolutely. Just a couple of questions, actually, I have for people. How has the audio and the actual webinar, how's it been for people? Have people had a good experience from it? Has the quality been good, the picture and audio? I've kind of been fluctuating from, a few people have been logging in and logging out. So, just interested to see what everyone's thoughts are on what I talked about this morning. Okay, so there's a few people still on. If people do have questions, there's one from Darren. Awesome. Thanks, mate. Looks and sounds great. Great. That's good. If anyone does, there's a few people still on. So if you do have any questions that you want to ask, I do have, a little bit of time. Don't need to rush off anywhere just yet. So be interested to hear from some other people if they have, anything. Why do I wear a silly hat, or why do I have a big beard? You can ask me anything. I don't mind. It's it's interesting. It's the first one I've done, so the more feedback, the better, really. And it will be up again. So if anyone does want to have a recap on what was going on, then yeah, the replay will be up on my YouTube channel. So I'll probably put a link to it on the website as well. All right, guys. I think I'm going to wrap up now. So thanks everyone who joined me this morning, and hope to see you again soon. Okay, have a great day.